Every human child knows what infinity is. They use it in terms like, I love you to infinity, as if it were a quantifiable amount. They don't realize yet how small they really are, and how finite their world really is. Venus Bouchard was the daughter of a rich investor. Keyword was. She had been disowned for wanting to live a life of hard work instead of upholding the family reputation and living in luxury. Now she somehow has ended up in the military, and not just any military. No, she was in the Space Force, Lunar Legion Division. She is now known as a Defier, which was the slang term used for anti-gravity melee combatants, a personnel specialization for those who excel in low-gravity hand-to-hand combat. Truthfully, a fly could probably knock Venus out under normal circumstances, but in little to no gravity, she excels due to her special circumstances. Venus wasn't especially flexible, at least not due to training or gymnastics. She was double-jointed in almost every place where it counted for her line of work. Shoulders, knees, elbows, you name it. She was able to fit into tight spaces, and combined with the low gravity, could smother an opponent the second the need arose. She had one fatal flaw that kept her from going full cat mode though, her neck. If she had to bend her neck for too long in the wrong way, the muscles around her shoulder joints would tighten, meaning that whatever position her shoulders were in, they were stuck there until she could properly stretch them back out. Every Defier had a guardian, which was the professional term for meathead. A guardian's job was simple. Make sure your Defier gets in and out of every job. As a guardian, you could be replaced by any heavyweight boxer in body armor, but a Defier had to have a special quality, and so far, only 4 Defiers had ever been trained and deployed. Although that number is used for the shock factor, the number is actually realistic when you realize that the Lunar Legion is less of a legion and more of a century, consisting of approximately 80 military personnel at its highest point. Venus and Andromeda made their way to the sparring facility as they did every day at midnight. Time was different on the moon, and so was work and social lives. Typically, people would sleep twice a day, getting about 3.5 hours of sleep each time, and using one waking period to work and the other one for personal time. It sure is a nice day out today. I sure would like to sit on a nice green lawn, have a beer, and get a nice farmer's tan, grunted Andromeda. Venus retorted, if it's a sunburn you're looking for, why not walk outside in your little tank top and get a nice, even roast? They both let out a laugh which rapidly settled into a sigh. There was a quiet agreement amongst them all that they missed being able to go outside without needing oxygen tanks, or depressurized suits, or finding a buddy to go with you. It had only been 2 months since they took the transport up here, and yet they often talked about not remembering what it was like on Earth. There's so many rules, routines, and regulations up here that the mental energy to reminisce just wasn't there. And so those lives fell out of sight and out of mind. Most of the people at Lunar 1 were there to get away from something or someone. Not like a criminal, but like someone who didn't want to confront the truth of their reality. And up here, you could ignore it until it no longer existed. Well, I think we should go with a gravity spar today. I don't much feel like running in circles for 30 minutes while you bounce off walls like the Eternigizer Bunny, said Andromeda. Venus replied quickly, "You're just mad because your big muscles make it hard for you to move around unless you have some force to push against, and it's not like you can use your forehead." They both laughed again. Turning on the gravity in the room, they began to spar and continued to go back and forth until even the reality of Lunar 1 was an afterthought. In these moments, all that mattered was the ebb and flow of sweat, focus, and physical blows against one another. Andromeda hadn't told Venus much about himself, but between basic training, special forces camps, and the 2-week-long trip up to the moon together, Venus had gotten the feeling Andromeda didn't want to be defined by who he was, and that he wanted change. When one of the other Legionnaires had shoved Venus to the ground, saying that she was a lucky benda bitch, and that she had no right to be there with the rest of them, Andromeda had made him eat his lunch in a unique way. Ever since then, their partnership had been less business and more family, and the man who shoved Venus was traumatized by bendy straws for the rest of his life. Sir, we just picked up a rogue signal. It seems to be one of our signals.
How is that possible? The only other Space Force transmitter was in the Mars Equinox colony. You don't mean...
Yes, sir. There's a faint signal coming from the Equinox frequency.
Don't just sit there. What does it say?
Don't come pussy again. Sir, we lost the signal. The frequency is gone.
Damn it. What does that mean? Put the base into gray status.
We're dealing with an unidentifiable possible threat. Yes, sir.
And Corporal?
Yes, sir.
Not a word of that message to anyone.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Well, we've been sitting here cloaked for 36 hours now, Cobb. Are there any other precautions you want to take, or can we get on with this?
Groaned Gormand. Carpe Diem nervously sputtered out, I have a bad feeling about this. What if they dissect us? What if they probe us? They're gonna know!
How could they know? They don't know, and they won't know. Now suit up. We have a race to greet into our holier-than-thou Federation.
The small bullet train-shaped spacecraft lowered itself just outside of Lunar 2, the small monitoring station that was on the opposite side of the moon as Lunar 1. The doors opened like a sliding glass door after a deep freeze. Gorman looked up at Karp, who was notably not wearing a depressurized suit and oxygen tank, and said,
I still think it's stupid that in the last 4 centuries, your race went from breathing water to breathing hydrogen, while my race went from 5 toes total to 6 on each foot.
Karp gave Gory a half smile before flapping his fin ears mockingly, looking slightly proud of his people's biological achievements. It was time humans met the rest of the worlds, and these two were the best the Federation had for a first impression.